audience today, Dr. Atul. Dr. Atul is a minimal access surgeon with a knack for applying technology to conventional surgical principles, which benefits patients. Dr. Atul Sardana has been working in the healthcare sector since 1990s, starting as a social worker in one of the Delhi's large government hospitals. He graduated in medicine from the University of Rajasthan and served in the rural sector there. He then did his master's in surgery and has since been working extensively in minimal access surgery as a consultant surgeon in various hospitals of repute, including Sir Gangaram, Colmet, and Apollo Spectra Hospital. He has over 30 national and international clinical publications and presentations and is an honorary member of the World Association of Laparoscopic Surgeons, members of the Indian Association of Gastrointestinal and Endoscopic Surgeons, and BIS Technical Committee on Surgical Instruments. He is also a member of the steering committee for good clinical practices found by Government of India. So Dr. Atul, with this, may I please hand over the mic to you so that you can give your presentation.
Thank you. Nidhi, I think there is a...
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. So can you see my screen now?
Absolutely, sir. Yeah.
Is it shared? All right.
Yeah, it has started sharing. Please wait for a moment before. Yeah, now we can. Sure.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Nidhi and Mr. Prabhu Mishra for inviting me over here. I am really impressed with the efforts that you people are doing in the field of stem cell and biotechnology allied sciences. And I personally see a great future for this field, wherein, you know, there will be a stage where this would not be a fallback option for people who did get into medicine, but a primary career opportunity. We see a lot of development now happening with immunotherapy, genomics, cancer treatment, tissue engineering, and also with stem cells. Obviously, stem cells is with a caution because, you know, the kind of promises that we had initially and the kind of results we've had do not match. But yet I feel that there is a huge opportunity for stem cell therapy itself. I am primarily, you know, coming from a background of medical devices, and that's what I would like to focus my presentation today about, of how, you know, biotechnology and medical devices cross roads. Though in the national policy, the biotechnology policy, medical devices is included into biotechnology, but there are, you know, two different domains, and we should not confuse them. So with this, I would like to start my presentation. So as we know, biotechnology is defined as technology based on biology. I don't want to bore all of you with this because I'm sure you are much more educated in biotechnology than me. But it covers a vast range of disciplines ranging from utilization of microorganisms in food production to artificial organ development. Here, the cellular and biomolecular processes are harnessed to develop technologies and products that improve the quality of life and the health of people. If we look at medical devices, these are products used to diagnose, prevent, manage, treat or cure diseases by means other than or in addition to pharmaceuticals or biologics. Now, those devices that function along with pharmaceutical and biologics are called combination devices. It is important for you to know this because there is a different regulatory mechanism for them. If you look at biomedical devices, that's where we cross roads, you know, between biotechnology and medical devices. We see tissue engineering, creating new kind of products. We see probes, sensors, tissue scaffolds, and biologic implants. You know, nowadays they are trying to print cornea, which would be a huge breakthrough for cataract, for you know, people with blindness. We are also 3D printing cartilages, tissues, and, you know, a lot of work is in progress in this field. I would like to just specifically discuss a case where biotechnology and medical devices cross roads in at my organization. So, you know, as we all know, adipose-derived mesenchymal stem cells, you know, mesenchymal stem cells are multipotent stromal cells that can differentiate into a variety of cell types, including osteoblasts, chondrocytes, myocytes, and adipocytes. These cells have been documented both in living and tissue culture. An adipose tissue, that is our fat, is a rich source of mesenchymal stem cells. These are known as adipose-derived mesenchymal stem cells. Now, the stromal vascular fraction, which is isolated from adipose tissue, contains adipogenic progenitors with fibroblast-like morphologies. And culture studies have shown that human adipose-derived stem cells can be obtained from liposuction aspirates and can differentiate into multiple lineages of mesodermal or ectodermal origin. Now, as we can understand that, we commonly come across certain disorders such as burns, then there are hair loss is another problem. Then we have tissue, avascular necrosis of bone tissue. So these are all simple applications where stem cells have been used extensively with good results. And obtaining these stem cells has always been a challenge. And adipose tissue, that is your fat, has provided a good source for these kind of stem cells. Now, if you look at the conventional method, how adipose-derived stem cells are actually, isolated, is that we first do a lipoaspiration, something like a liposuction in a limited area. Then these cells are enzymatically digested, centrifuged. The stromal vascular fraction is separated. These cells are cultured. After culturing, they are then transplanted to the patient. Now, we can verify these stem cells using flow cytometry and looking at other characteristics. But this conventional method has had certain limitations. One, it requires 2 visits for the patient if it's an autologous transplant. So at one sitting, we would do an lipoaspirate, and at the next sitting, we would transplant the harvested cells. The enzymes which are used for recovering these cells deteriorates the extracellular matrix, and the extracellular matrix is desirable because it lends support structure to the adipose-derived mesenchymal stem cells. Third, it is very capital intensive, requires multidisciplinary approach, so not one doctor could perform it. He needs a biotechnologist to be involved in this. He needs, a lab technician, an entire setup to do this. So looking at this, we found this as a challenge, and we realized that going forward, stem cell therapy would be, catching up very soon, both in terms of regenerative medicine and as well as in cosmetics. So we started working on a novel medical device which could provide point of care stem cell separation in the single sitting. So the patient comes, he gets a lipoaspirate, and another 10-15 minutes, he gets the stem cells. Now, this device delivers point of care autologous stem cell transplantation. It's a 10 to 15 minute job in which one single doctor can do the lipoaspirate, separate, concentrate, and re-administer the cells to improve healing and patient outcomes. It's a ready-to-use disposable device, provided sterile with all components in a single pack. It uses a series of steps of aspiration, filtration, homogenization, backflushing to obtain these cells. And the separated cells yielded have been validated to be comparable to conventional techniques using CD marker profiling. So my idea of telling you about this small case study is that for students especially, there is a huge potential. You are sitting at the edge of an ocean, at the shore of an ocean, and it's a huge and vast ocean for you to discover in biotechnology. And biotechnology, especially human biotechnology, is now opening gateways. And I'm sure all of you will find meaningful engagement with the academy that we are now inaugurating over here. So a desired set of skills which biotechnology students should have for research. I've just tried to summarize them so that you all get a little motivation over here. One is knowledge. That is familiarity with the disease targeted, the techniques used within the biotech medical device industry. Secondly, analytical skills, the ability to analyze the needs of the patients and the customers, and to design appropriate experiments and solutions. Communication is very important, listening to and seeking out others' ideas, and then incorporating them into problem-solving processes. It also involves expressing oneself very clearly. And this is one thing that I have found lacking in most of, our clusters, our incubators, that there is no communication between various teams. We all work in silos, and most often we realize that, the person sitting right next to us could have actually helped us solve our problems, accelerated our growth, and we could partner with him. So teamwork, which is the fourth desired skill set, which I believe is the most important, which is contributing individual skill sets to come up with a proposed solution or plan of action. Bioengineering, I feel, is a targeted research. And why I am saying bioengineering? Because I am now discussing biotechnology with reference to medical devices. So we should always remember that product innovation is a process. The process includes 3 steps, which all of you should very clearly understand. The first is transforming ideas or concepts into working prototypes through detailed design and engineering. And this is where your initial education, your mentorship support, your teamwork would come in hand. The second is testing and refining them to meet customer and regulatory requirements. Because, biotechnology and bioengineering is a relatively new field, and it usually involves combination products in which we use living tissues and medical devices. The regulatory pathway is rather strict and rather convoluted. So all of you, before you engage or you venture out into any kind of targeted research in bioengineering, should be absolutely clear on the regulatory pathway. And the third is translating the product design and process for commercialization. And that is where, there are a lot of opportunities available in India. There are a lot of funding and support available in India to convert your ideas, to translate your ideas into commercial products. And in the end, I would like to just say that the embryo of any new product is always in its idea. And it's a huge field for all of you to go out there and explore. Thank you.